What's going on? Welcome to the Space and Rocket Review. It is Monday, March 23rd, 2026. And yeah, I got a little bit of news for you. And a little bit of news for you, and then some. Let me transfer all the links over, and then we'll start. How's everybody doing? Get that off of there. There we go. All right, let me transfer the links. Good news or bad news? It depends on how you... it depends on what you think NASA should be doing. Let me put it that way. Yeah, it's good to see you. Likewise, Binary. How are you? Happy Monday. All right. Cool. All right, so we'll get through all the other stuff, and then we'll jump to that. Yeah, the first thing that I kind of thought we should check out is well, over the weekend there was a huge announcement from SpaceX and Tesla. Here. I think we'll start by watching that. Let's see what we got. It has everybody's favorite aerospace CEO. So, you know, let's see what we got. Let me make sure the sound isn't overdriven. And let's see what is going on here. I said, let's see what's going on here. Yeah.
Universe. You must...
Okay. 21-minute intro. What do Elon thinks he is? Me? Give me a break.
In order to understand the universe, you must explore the universe. And that's the motivation to accelerate humanity's future in understanding the universe and extending the light of consciousness to the stars.
We've heard that. That seems to be what's going on. Yeah. I learned from the best, Deadbringer. Hey, Sad, what's going on? Yeah, tomorrow is going to be a busy day, Rares, for sure. One man, you said nothing worth watching, complete fantasy. Oh, spicy. Okay. That building did say macro hard, yes. What are we watching? This was an announcement that happened yesterday. This is well, you'll see here. Check it out. It's compelling to say the least.
We have a profoundly important announcement to make, which is
space. I'm in space.
Epic
Thank you.
shipbuilding exercise in history by far.
Yeah.
This is really going to take things to the next level. So, yeah, a level probably people aren't even contemplating right now. This is not in the...
Hey, Chris.
I'd call this sort of an out-of-context problem. It's not in their context. So we're going to adjust the context by...
Did he just call us normies? Brother, I ain't no normie. I might talk like one, but I ain't no damn normie.
Few orders of magnitude here. Let's see. It's a joint effort. I'm pressing the button.
Yeah, that person probably just got fired. Person controlling a PowerPoint. Not even kidding.
But the button's not working. Oh, there we go. Okay. So, yeah. We aspire to be a galactic civilization.
Organization?
So I think the future that everyone, well, most people, I think, would agree is the most exciting is one where we're out there among the stars.
I won't dispute that.
Where we are not forever confined to one planet, that we become a multi-planet species, like the best science fiction that you've ever read. You know, Star Trek, or Ian Banks, or Asimov, or Heinlein. And we want to make that real. Yeah, not just fiction. Turn science fiction to science fact.
Okay.
That's the glorious, exciting future that I certainly look forward to. It's worth considering sort of like, how would you rate civilizations? You know, there was a physicist, I think it was Russian, in the 60s, Kardashev. He thought about, like, at a high level, how would you consider any given civilization? And he said, well, if you're type 1, you're using most of the energy of your planet. And we actually still have quite a ways to go to be properly a type 1. We're still using a tiny fraction of the sun's energy that reaches our planet. Let's see. Yeah, there we go. But the Earth only receives about 0.5 billionth of the sun's energy. So the sun is truly enormous. The sun is 99.8% of all mass in the solar system. So sometimes people will ask me, like, what about, you know, other power sources of power on Earth? Like, what about fusion on Earth? Well, that is unfortunately very small because the sun is 99.8% of mass in the solar system. And Jupiter is about 0.1%, and Earth is in the miscellaneous category. We are, I think it's Carl Sagan, I think, might have said, Earth is like a tiny dust mote in a vast darkness. Very, very small. The sun...
Did that guy have a hat on that said meat sack? Yeah, okay.
Very, very small. The sun is enormous. So the way to actually scale civilization is to scale power in space.
Means that I was
necessarily
hoping you were
true
here.
because we actually capture such a tiny amount of the sun's energy on Earth because we're just this tiny dust mote. Another way to think of it is roughly like electricity production on Earth of all of civilization is only about 1 trillionth of the sun's energy.
Oh, well, yeah.
He thought about, like, at a high level, because the sun is 99.8% of mass in the solar system. And Jupiter is about 0.1%, and Earth is in the miscellaneous category. We are, I think it's Carl Sagan, I think, might have said, Earth is like a tiny dust mote in a vast darkness. Very, very small. The sun is enormous. So the way to actually scale civilization is to scale power in space. This is necessarily true because we actually capture such a tiny amount of the sun's energy on Earth because we're just this tiny dust mote. Another way to think of it is roughly like electricity production on Earth of all of civilization is only about 1 trillionth of the sun's energy, which means if you increase civilizational power output by 1 million, you would still only be 1 millionth of the sun's energy. I mean, it's awe-inspiring to consider that, just how tiny we are in the grand scheme of things. And yeah, we often get sort of caught up in these sort of squabbles on Earth that are really very sort of minor things when you consider the grandness of the universe.
Yeah.
And so I think it is important, actually, to consider the grandness of the universe and what we can do that is much greater than what we've done before, as opposed to worry about sort of small squabbles on Earth type of thing.
It'd be nice. That'd be nice. Just saying.
Yeah, we want to be a civilization that expands to the galaxy with spaceships that anyone can go anywhere they want at any time. That would be epic. And have a city on the moon, cities on Mars, populate the solar system, and send spaceships to other star systems. That sounds like the best possible future. You know? So to do that, we need to harness the power of the sun. And so a terafab, while it is enormous, a terawatt of compute per year is enormous by our sort of civilizational standards. It is still just one step along the way of being even a Carter ship. You still have a long way to go to even be a Carter ship 2 level civilization, and you're not even registering as a Carter ship 3. So it's a very big thing by current human standards, but still small in the grand scheme. But very difficult for humans. So to accomplish this very difficult goal really requires a combination of efforts of SpaceX, XAI, and Tesla working together to create this epic Terrafab project. So.
Right. See the slider.
And Tesla and XAI and SpaceX have all done amazing things that people did not think would be done before. So there's the Giga Texas fab here. There's the Optimus robot that's being built. There's a global supercharging network. There's really quite a lot. And it wasn't that long ago when people thought electric cars wouldn't amount to anything. And there were basically no electric cars for sale when Tesla started. And people said it was impossible, and now Tesla's making 2 million electric cars a year. Yeah. And then XAI, although it's a new company, now part of SpaceX, has also built the first gigawatt-scale compute cluster, which in record time. Jensen Huang from NVIDIA said he'd never seen anything built so fast in his life before.
Wait a minute. It's Jensen Huang? Oh, gosh. I've been calling him Jensen Huang for like 3 years, at least 3 years. Damn it. Sorry, man.
So, a great compliment from NVIDIA. And then SpaceX, well, I guess you can read it for yourself. Well, you already know. I mean, the reusable rockets.
Whoops.
People said that reusable rockets weren't possible, and even if you did do them, they wouldn't be economically feasible. So we did them, and then we made them.
All right, let's see what this says. Tesla deliver 8 million plus vehicles to date. Launch AI-based camera only on supervised self-driving vehicles. Yeah, okay. Design Optimus to support large-scale production. That's, okay. All right. I didn't have the heart to tell you. Or did you not have the Huang to tell me? Delivered 109 gigawatt hour plus of energy storage globally. That's pretty good. Built global gigafactories in record time. Okay. Built the first and only lithium refinery in the United States. Oh, that last one's pretty cool. It's okay. He said that gamers are wrong about DLSS 5. Okay. Hey, Chazbomb, would you be interested in doing a little 2 to 3 minute voiceover for an animated segment, old NASA style, in a showcase video explaining the re-entry system me and my team have been working on? Yeah, man. Now is not the best time. Is this pressing? Yeah, send me a little bit in a DM. If it's something that doesn't need to like absolutely get done today or tomorrow, I would love to. That would be great.
Discovery, go at throttle up.
XIA built first gigawatt scale AI training cluster. That's the macro hard building. Created largest coherent supercomputer. That's pretty neat. Only company capable of building orbital AI compute at scale. Put an asterisk next to that next one. Hey, Sea Kraken, what's up? Scott, what's going on? 4-month resub. Developed first reusable rocket, SpaceX. Okay. Return human spaceflight capabilities to the U.S. Yeah, that's the DM2 mission. Yeah, good mission. Launches 90% of global mass to orbit. Operates world's largest space-based... Yeah, okay. We, you know, what's this last one? Built largest PCB manufacturing site in the U.S. That's pretty cool. Flies world's most powerful rocket ever. Just have that one as a footnote, huh? All right.
Economically feasible. And now we've landed over 500 times. Then we did the Falcon Heavy, and now we're doing Starship. And Starship is a critical piece of the puzzle because in order to scale compute and scale power, you have to go to space, which means that you need massive payload to space. And Starship will enable that. So this gives you sort of just a sense of scale.
Yeah, look at this.
We've got Optimus there, Optimus for scale.
Look at that sat.
And
that's
Optimus
a hell of a
is about
sat bus.
5'11", so it gives you a sense of the size of the Starship V3 rocket. Starship V4 will be much longer, actually. The Starship V4 will make Starship V3 look kind of short. So we'll expand with Starship V3 to 200 tons of payload to orbit from 100 tons with V3. And then you can see that that's just a rough approximation of the mini version of the AI sat. So that's roughly 100 kilowatts. It's showing the solar panels and the radiator to scale. So for some reason, there's been a bizarre debate about radiators in space. It's safe to say SpaceX knows how to do heat rejection in space with 10,000 satellites in orbit.
That's
Might
fair.
know a thing or two.
That's a fair comment.
So you can see the radiator is actually quite small relative to the solar panels. And we call that the mini-sat, since that's just 100 kilowatts. We expect future satellites to probably go to the megawatt range.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah. So
About a meter and a half.
to get to the terawatt
No, 2.5 meters.
of compute per year,
About 10 feet.
you need about 10 million tons
So that's
to orbit
closer
per
to
year,
3.
and at 100 kilowatts per ton. So but we're confident this is
Wait,
feasible.
Sorry, can I hear that one more time?
Might know a thing
I
or
talked
two.
over it. That's my fault.
So you can see the radiator is actually quite small relative to the solar panels. And we call that the mini-sat, since that's just 100 kilowatts. We expect future satellites to probably go to the megawatt range.
Hang on, Bandit. I'll explain it, bro.
Yeah.
A megawatt satellite. Okay. Can I hear that one more time, dudes? Just...
We'll make Starship V3 look kind of short. So we'll expand with Starship V3 to 200 tons of payload to orbit from 100 tons with V3. And then you can see that that's just a rough approximation of the mini version of the AI sat. So that's roughly 100 kilowatts. It's showing the solar panels and the radiator to scale. So for some reason, there's been a bizarre debate about radiators in space. It's safe to say SpaceX knows how to do heat rejection in space with 10,000 satellites in orbit. Might know a thing or two. So you can see the radiator is actually quite small relative to the solar panels. And we call that the mini-sat, since that's just 100 kilowatts. We expect future satellites to probably go to the megawatt range.
100 kilowatts. Hundred kilowatts is 100,000 watts. Just sorry, my brain isn't working good today, so. Huh. They want a megawatt satellite. Okay. Okay, so like, just for some reference here, dudes, a 100 kilowatt satellite is like a hospital generator. That's like the type of generator that you'd use to power an entire hospital. A megawatt. A megawatt is a small power plant, dude. Like, that's like a wind farm or a solar farm. That's pretty good, man. A home uses about 20 kilowatts a day. Yeah, yeah. That's it's pretty legit. Like I have a 6 kilowatt generator outside that I use to power that'll power almost my whole house.
Discovery,
This is 100.
go at throttle up.
It's like, what would be the math? Like 10 of those? That's pretty cool. Yeah, interestingness. Our IMAX theater for Project Hail Mary had a 10 kilowatt sound system. Nice.
No.
Yeah. Maslam with 127 month resub. I only need 127 kilowatts. Nice.
So in order to get to the terawatt of compute per year, you need about 10 million tons to orbit per year, and at 100 get to the terawatt of compute per year, you need about 10 million tons to orbit per year, and at 100 kilowatts per ton.
Oh. Oh, it's just 300 Starship flights a day. No. As one does. Yeah, if it's V4 that can do 200 tons to orbit, it's, you know,
Discovery, go at throttle up.
150 Starship flights a day. I think you're getting tier 2 120 month resub. 10 years. Thanks, man. You know, 6 Starship launches an hour. Did he say per year? I'm pretty sure.
So in order to get to the terawatt of compute per year, you need
Yeah, he said per year.
about 10 million tons to orbit per year, and at 100 kilowatts per ton. So, but we're confident this is feasible. Like, no new physics or impossible things are required to get there. So I'm confident, actually, that SpaceX will get to 10 million tons to orbit per year.
I mean, even getting it, guys, I'll be honest. This is SpaceX 101. Like, even getting to a tenth of that is absurd. A tenth of that, like, you know, would be like well above everyone else. I mean, we know Elon sets high goals. Like, I do agree with him, though. There's nothing stopping us from doing that. It's just a scale problem. And to say that Elon wouldn't have the money to scale it would be kind of dumb. Yeah, dumb is the word I'm looking for. Yeah, I mean, the guy's got the money. Just wondering, I'd just be wondering about time. Like, how soon you want to get this scale done?
And then we're building up to a terawatt of solar. So that solves will solve the solve.
Don't forget the $2 trillion IPO. That's what I'm saying, Alleviate. He's, brother, like, what I would say is the problem. Like, if I propose this, people would be like, yeah, with what money? What money are you doing? What you going to use that with? I don't think he has that problem, man. Now, will they reach that type of scale? I would be wondering about time. What's your time frame for this? I listened to this when I was half asleep, but I'm willing to bet that he doesn't give one. I'm willing to bet. You want to do? I mean, 20 years, that's doable. I'd say that's very doable. You best get working on this like now, you know. But
The problem, the power generation. So then the key missing ingredient is therefore a terawatt of compute. So this announcement is about solving the key missing ingredient. To give you a sense of what we're talking about, the current output of AI compute is roughly 20 gigawatts per year. This chart explains why we need to build the Terrafab. Because all of the rest of the output from Earth is about 2% of what we need. So if you add up all the fabs on Earth combined, they're only about 2%.
we're never getting new GPUs, are we, bros? Gaming. I swear, if AI kills gaming, I'm gonna be a little upset. we're gonna go back to playing Pong. Bloop, 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 because that's the only thing anyone's gonna freaking be able to afford. Bloop, bloop. I don't know. Would you guys watch me? Would you watch a Tetris Let's Play? Let's freaking go. No, we'll get the chips that don't make the cut. No, yeah, all right.
Discovery.
Finally,
Go
a
and
game
drop
which
up.
I'm a master. Bloop, bloop. Dude, give me a pinball machine. Let's make pinball machines make a comeback. Freaking make analog games make a comeback. Can't be too hard to make that nowadays, right? You just need a couple of tubes. They still make vacuum tubes? We'll start making vacuum tubes. Dude, how ridiculous would that be if, like, arcades make a return? That'd be sick. I love the arcade growing up. I bet that much computing power could brute force CFD. Yeah, that's right, Gaw. Yeah. Relays and gears. All of a sudden, our basement's worth $1 million. Yeah, right.
Of what we need for the terawatt project.
Arcades are still a thing. Lunprod, every town in the United States in the 80s had an arcade in it. It was as commonplace as a pizza store. Right? You say arcades are still a thing, but respectfully, no. No.
Terrafab project. So, you know.
In fact, the pizza store was the arcade in some cases. I was there. It was awesome. Nothing like showing up at the arcade, right? To find some punk beat your score, and then you got to go start asking around. Hey, who played that? Who beat the high score in that game? I did that, dude. I did that in the 90s when I was just a little kid.
We certainly want our existing supply chain to be clear. We're very grateful to our existing supply chain, to Samsung, TSMC, Micron, and others. And we would like them to expand as quickly as they can. And we will buy all of their chips. I have said these exact words to them. But there's a maximum rate at which they're comfortable expanding, but that rate is much less than we would like. And so we either build the Terrafab or we don't have the chips. And we need the chips, so we're gonna build the Terrafab.
Oh, God, yeah, do that. Just build that. All right. Yeah, You know, as one does.
And we're starting off with an advanced technology fab here in Austin. And I believe Governor Abbott is in the audience. I'd like to thank Governor Abbott and the state of Texas for their support. All right. So in the Advanced Technology Fab, we will have all of the equipment necessary to make a chip of any
Hokey,
kind,
I'm getting a little
logical
confused.
memory, and
I'd be curious to see what, like, how many teraflops are we talking about here, but whatever. It's fine. Rosebud, you got that Pizza's Arcade, dude. Oh, I missed that.
We will have all of the equipment necessary to make a chip of any kind, logical memory, and we will also have all of the equipment necessary to make the lithography masks. So in a single building, we can create a lithography mask, make the chip, test the chip, make another mask, and have an incredibly fast recursive loop for improving the chip design.
Okay.
To the best of my knowledge, this doesn't exist anywhere in the world.
A lithography mask to, like, a computer, if I'm understanding it right, to like a motherboard, for instance, is what a tool and die is to metal stamping. It's like a photo negative of a board. Am I understanding that right? I'm pretty sure I got that right. Chess is a great game, dude. Yeah. It's the chemical etching. Yeah, exactly. So you can, it's what tool and die is to metal stamping. Cool.
Where you've got everything necessary to build logic, memory, and do packaging, and test it, and then do the masks, improve the masks, and just keep looping it. So, and we're not just...
Mother fricker, dude. Rapid iterative chip design. Okay. It's PCB etching at a nanometer scale. Huh.
Going to do conventional compute in this. I think there's some very interesting new physics that is potentially, that actually I'm confident will work. It's just a question of when. So this is we're really going to push the limit of physics in compute. And we're going to try a bunch of wild and crazy things, which you can do if you've got that fast iteration loop. That I can't emphasize enough the importance of being able to make a chip, test it, and then change the design, do another one, and have that in a single building. I think that our recursive improvement with that situation is probably an order of magnitude better than anything else in the world. Yeah. So broadly speaking, we expect to make two kinds of chips. One will be optimized for edge and inference. So that'll be used primarily in Optimus and in the cars, but especially in Optimus, because I expect the robots, humanoid robots, to be made 10 to 100 times more than the volume of cars. So, you know, if vehicle production on Earth is about 100 million vehicles a year, and I expect humanoid robot production to be somewhere between 1 billion and 10 billion units a year. So it's a lot. So, yeah, Tesla's going to make a very significant percentage of those, is our goal. And then we need a high-power chip that is designed for space, that takes into account the more difficult environment in space, where you've got high power, you've got high energy ions, photons, you've got electron buildup. It's a hostile environment in space. Yeah. So you want to design the chip, you want to optimize it for space. And you also want to generally run it a little hotter than you would normally run a chip on Earth to minimize the radiative mass. So there are just a bunch of constraints that would, you design something differently in space than you would on the ground.
That's fair. A lot of stuff is built like that.
For the space compute, my guess is that is the vast majority of the compute, because you're power constrained on Earth. That's why I think it's probably 100 to 200 gigawatts a year of terrestrial chips, and probably on the order of a terawatt of chips in space, just because of power constraints on the ground. That's probably how it ends up. Space has this advantage that it's always sunny. It's very nice. I actually think that the cost of AI and deploying AI in space will drop below the cost of terrestrial AI much sooner than most people expect. I think it may be only 2 or 3 years before it is actually lower cost to send AI chips to space than it is on the ground. Because in space, you don't need much in the way of batteries, because of it's always sunny. And the solar power, you're going to get at least 5.
What happens when the Earth gets in the way? It's not sunny when, the Earth gets between you and the sun. Are these going to be in a higher orbit where you have perpetual sunlight? Are we in sun synchronous, high sun synchronous, medium Earth orbit? What are we talking about here? Mirrors. Oh.
Or more times the solar power you get in space versus the ground, because you don't have atmospheric attenuation or a day-night cycle or seasonality. And you're always normal to the sun. So you're really maximizing the solar power at that point. And the space solar actually costs less than terrestrial solar because you don't need heavy glass or framing to protect it from extreme weather events. So as soon as the cost to orbit drops to a low number, it immediately makes extremely compelling sense to put AI in space.
Well,
it becomes a no-brainer, basically.
Well, I mean...
Moreover, as you go to space, you get increased economies of scale, and things get easier over time, whereas as you try to put more and more power on the ground, you run out of space. And you start using up the easy spots, and then you get next-level NIMBY. Nobody wants the thing in their backyard. So actually increasing power on Earth becomes harder over time and more expensive over time, but in space it becomes actually cheaper and easier over time. These are very important points. So.
Huh. That. Oh yeah, this part. Yeah. I remember now. Yeah, yeah. He's actually proposing this.
what you just thought there was, because of course you're asking, what's on your mind is, well, what do you do after a Terrafab? Don't think small. Well, yeah, good point. So we, you know, how do you get to a petawatt is the obvious next question. And you get there by having an electromagnetic mass driver on the moon with robots, with Optimi, and obviously lots of humans. And with that, you can send a petawatt. You can create a petawatt of compute and send that to deep space. Because on the moon has no atmosphere and has 1/6 Earth gravity. Yeah. So you don't need rockets on the moon. You can literally accelerate it to escape velocity from the surface. And that dramatically drops the costs, once again, of harnessing power and enables you to go 1,000 times bigger than a terawatt. So for sure, the future I want to see, I want to just live long enough to see the mass driver on the moon, because that's going to be incredibly epic. Yeah. That should hopefully get us to 1/millionth of the sun's energy, at least. Humbling to think about that. But 1/millionth of the sun's energy would be 1,000,000 times bigger than Earth's economy, so it's good from that perspective.
Yeah. Oh, no, you're right.
You expand beyond that to the planets, to the other stars, and create the most exciting possible future that I can imagine. So. This looks a bit like the opening in Idiocracy with Mike Judge. Unlocking an age of amazing abundance. Yeah, obviously the elements of that are sustainable energy, space travel, and AI and robotics that bring amazing abundance to everyone. It's really the only path to amazing abundance is AI and robotics, which is not to say it can't go wrong. Hopefully, you know, but I think it'll probably go right, and it'll be a future that you love.
Yeah, right.
And it's the best future I can think of, at least. So. And then we go beyond the moon, beyond Mars, and we sail through the rings of Saturn. Now, wouldn't it be amazing if you could buy a trip to Saturn? Or frankly, if you just have a trip to Saturn, I think things will just be free in the future. It sounds nuts, but you know, if you've got an AI robotics economy that is anywhere close to 1,000,000 times the size of the current Earth economy, literally any need you possibly want can be met. If you can think of it, you can have it. So I think Ian Banks, in his culture books, has it pretty much right, where there actually isn't money in the future, and there's abundance for everyone. If you can think of it, you can have it. That's it. Which means anyone could have a trip to Saturn.
So what happens when somebody decides they deserve it more than another person?
It won't be, you know, just a few people. If you want it, you can have it. Yeah. So.
They fight with sticks. They thumb wrestle for it. Yeah. I mean, launch them with the mass driver. I don't know. Just that's not. I'm not trying to prove a point. That's just a question. You know, like, that's super cool. That sounds awesome. What happens when somebody decides they're better than another person? And people are looking at me like, "Oh, that won't happen." You sure? What happens when everyone, like a bunch of people move to Saturn or to move to Io, for instance, and then somebody wants to move there and they say no? The robots get involved. Yeah, I know. Everyone's equal to everyone else, but some robots are more equal than others. Like, I'm not trying to sound like a stick in the mud. This all sounds great. But what happens when the belters run out of water? How much of this exists after Elon? I don't know. Someone has read those books. It's not so much like reading books, dude. It's just the human condition. Personally, I'm pro-Ionian independence. Yeah, you would be. You have to ration water for the computer factor. Guys, I'm not trying to be a stick in the mud. That was just something that popped into my head. Like, that sounds great, man. I'd really, really like it if, you know, I didn't have to, like, pay bills. That'd be really sick. That'd be really cool. You know? Yeah. Yeah, who gets the Malibu beachfront? Exactly. Yeah, exactly. You know, who decides that? You know? How do you determine who gets beachfront property and who doesn't? With a holodeck, we'll all get Malibu beachfront property. Now, a real question. Do you think that building satellites on the moon will be simple enough to be economic? It'll be simple enough to be economic when you establish an industrial base on the moon, Markar. It really is dependent on how far you build out the industrial base there. See, something that I just never really understood, like, is if you're going to need thousands of rockets, moving thousands of pieces of equipment, people, you know, power plants, whatever, to the moon, and then you're going to choose to not use the thing that you just made really, really inexpensive to get to and from the moon, to launch stuff off the moon? That's like, you know, building out a container ship because you need to move 10,000 containers across the ocean. You build out your container ship, right? And there's a dock on one side of the ocean, a dock on the other side of the ocean. You know, you can load up all your containers. You build it out so you have like a heavy dock so you can offload these containers every time you do a trip. And then you get there and eventually you're just like, nah, I'll just take the airplane back. Then what? How fast would the magnetic driver have to go to launch from the moon? Give me 1 second. It's about 1,800 meters a second. Actually, it's closer to 1,700. So that's 3,800 miles an hour, or 6,100 kilometers an hour. You're not on the stick in the mud. We're governed by the same forces that caused nearly a 60-year gap between Apollo 17 and Artemis 2. Yeah. It's a legitimate question. It's not trying to be rhetorical, to be quippy or edgy or whatever. It's just, yeah, I'm just really curious how this post-economic future works. How does that work? That's fast? 1.7 kilometers a second is not very quick. You need 9 kilometers a second to orbit the moon, or orbit the Earth, excuse me. Elon's just throwing stuff at the wall to juice up the SpaceX IPO. He did the same thing with Tesla at the Gigafactory battery plant in Texas, which has been a spectacular failure. Has it though? The driver is faster and chipper. Don't worry, we won't be here to see it. Damn, dude. Twitcher, do you really think that? I don't think so. I think that SpaceX, like, once again, dudes, I know Elon hater. I don't hate Tesla. I wouldn't buy one, but I don't hate them. I love SpaceX. XAI is, yeah, whatever. I don't hate the guy. I really don't. I'm just, objectively, I think they've been pretty successful. Like, you know, in that whole battery prototyping thing, I think that's pretty. The 4680s are a huge disaster, despite him saying they were the future. Interesting. Legit questions. I wondered the same thing. Yeah. I've heard Twitcher. I've literally never heard anybody say that. Interestingly enough, I don't know. I mean, guess I don't follow it hard enough. Yeah. So at the very least, that's a lot of Starship launches, dudes. And actually, this is the hold on. This is what I wanted to show you guys. I wanted to kind of pop into this real quick. Harry Stranger got new satellite pictures of the Cape, and we got new shots of Slick 37. Give me 1 second. I will find it. Yeah, here, take a look. So there's all the tower segments there at Complex 37. This was a former Delta 4 pad, but look at that. Uh-oh. I'm seeing the start of a tower over there. Could the mass driver be connected to the satellite factory? No need to load the sat into a Starship, fuel up and launch. Saves a lot on time. Sure. How many Starship launches are you going to need to build that? You could have just launched it all on a Starship. Starships are going to come down and unload cargo for the factory anyway. Might as well load them up. And you know what? There's nothing saying that they wouldn't do that. Till the thing works, I guess. So, I don't know. Come on, 10 billion Optimus a year. Seriously, Elon's losing his grip on reality. If he said 100,000 a year, I might take him seriously. Yeah, 10 billion. These are numbers to scale to. Like I said, he didn't give us a time frame. He said in his lifetime. So the next 20 years, I would guess. But even 10 billion is. That's by that time, that'll be Earth's population every year in robots, which is. All right. Last for velocity, very curious. Anthrofuturism did an analysis on locations for the launch to from Moon to Mio, and he found that the mass driver would be launching at 2.54 kilometers a second. I was using low Earth orbit as a calculation, but yeah, that makes sense. For medium lunar orbit. How are you going to power those 10 billion robots? Max, you're asking the guy that makes batteries and solar panels how he's going to power the robots? Medium Earth orbit, not medium lunar. Oh, yeah. That makes sense. Hamster wheels run by the robots. Oh yeah. So yeah, they're working. They've definitely gotten the thing graded. They got a lot of the fill dirt or they've gotten down to fill dirt and they scraped off the topsoil and have gotten to fill, and they started filling. Blockhouse is still there though, which is cool. I hope it stays. And then there's the tower segments right there. Work around, it looks like they have the base pieces for the start of the new tower sections being built on site. Yeah, perhaps there. Maybe. Are the asbestos bunkers going to stay? Most likely. I don't think they can touch them. Where is this location? This is Complex 37, Marcon. It's, here. Complex 37 is just a little ways south of Complex 39, 40, and 41. So there's Complex 40, Complex 41, 39A, 39B, right? And then 37 is right here. It's one of the bigger launch areas on the Cape. This was built for Saturn 1Bs back in the day. And then it was abandoned after the Apollo program. And then in the late 90s, early 2000s, they tooled it up for Delta IV. And they built Slick 37B, which is that pad that you see right there. That's gone. Yeah, that was gone. Yeah, that's gone. It's long gone, actually. SpaceX just obliterated it. Yeah, the Saturn 1B pads would have been used if the Apollo program, if the Saturn V didn't work. They built this as a backup plan to do EOR, Earth Orbit Rendezvous Lunar operations. They would have used 37A, 37B for cargo launches, and then Complex 34 for crew launches, because that one had a crew access arm. Complex 34 had a CAA back in the day. Now show him 39C. No. That pad doesn't exist. I love what Elon's brain is providing for SpaceX and space exploration, but the IPO farming is real on that one. Gotta be a realist. Look, guys, I ain't saying that it's out of the realm of possibility. I think Elon is right saying that... I think he's right in saying that there's no physical limitation to doing this. It's quite actually just a scaling problem. This is all using practical physics. You're just using Starship. But that's a real big... Using Starship. The thing that doesn't work right now. Okay? Maybe, I don't know, get Starship working. And then do this, like... Like, if you want to do scale like this, that would be my priority. None of this works if you can't launch it into space. Anything on the battery front? No. Good to have goals. It is good to have goals, yep. The only good use of AI. Nice. Guys, AI, once again, it just goes back to, I'll say this just before we get on to the next news here. I don't necessarily have a problem with AI. I really don't. I just don't think it needs to be in every single thing. It's like how we insisted that everything needs to have a computer. And then everything had a computer. And now where did that get us? Stuff's complicated. It's a pain in the butt to use. Arguably way more complicated than it needs to be. Like, my fridge doesn't need a computer in it. They were making refrigerators for a half century with no computers in them. You just need a compressor and a couple of analog temperature sensors, and you are good to go. All this crap makes it more expensive. Even with, especially nowadays with the chip, like with chips in high demand because of AI computing and stuff. I just, if you asked me 20 years ago, I'd be like, yeah, there's nothing wrong with a computer in your refrigerator. Yeah, no, there is. It's just everything is a pain in the butt. Everything's more complicated. Everything's harder to use. That AI might make a lot of things easier, but it's also going to make a lot of things more difficult. And meaning that if every single freaking thing has AI in it, like your fridge, right? What happens if it breaks? The solution there, if it breaks, is just to throw it away and then go buy another one. I don't like that. I don't think that's right. That's very much my opinion on it. People disagree, that's cool. It's kind of fun having my fridge call me fat for grabbing a second Coke in a day. Yeah. If AI wasn't something that's always connected to the hive mind and it's a single one-off piece of software that you could buy and use locally, I wouldn't mind that. And then just either A, have a recurring subscription to upgrade it, or B, just go buy the new version. Like this, why not the Windows solution? I just don't want something that's always connected to the hive mind. That's because you know, like if you have an AI computing fridge, right, that it's going to understand your eating habits, and then all of a sudden you're gonna see, you buy a Coke, you put a Coke in the fridge, it's gonna figure out that you have a Coke in the fridge, and now you're seeing Coke advertisements everywhere. You go to the gas pump, Coke advertisement on the screen on your gas pump. Fellas, look, I like technology. Technology's super cool. I don't want to live in that world. Do you? I don't want to live in that world. That doesn't sound fun at all. An argument for a moneyless society. Yeah. Imagine having to watch an ad to open your fridge. Some punk in Silicon Valley is thinking about that kind of stuff, Reaver. Bro, it's a fridge. It's a fridge. Freaking fridge. My phone doesn't need AI. My fridge does not need AI. My car does not need AI. Unless it's self-driving, then in which case, yeah, maybe. But I don't like self-driving cars. I just don't like the idea of the car driving for me. I don't like it. I don't like it. That doesn't mean it's not. I'm not going to say that, like, oh, nobody should have that. Like, I'm not doing that. I don't want to do that. Nice, Sea Kraken. That's great. It's amazing for traffic. It's amazing for traffic if people can't drive. Look, man, you want a chauffeur, you want your car to drive you around. There's a 5-letter word that I can think of that does that already. It's called a train. Maybe we should build those instead. I don't know. Just putting it out there. Any thoughts on the big thing tomorrow? Let's get into that. I'm having a day, dude. So here, check this out. NASA announced we'll host a live event Tuesday, March 24th at 9 a.m. to provide an update on implementation of the National Space Policy in preparation for returning to the moon's surface by 2028. A press conference will follow. How to watch. NASA will hold a press conference at 9 a.m. The program will open with remarks from NASA Administrator Jared Isaacman, followed by a series of high-level panels providing updates on mission priorities, including sending the first astronauts to the lunar surface in more than 50 years, establishing the initial elements of a permanent lunar base, getting America underway in space on nuclear followed by a series of high-level panels providing updates on mission priorities, including sending the first astronauts to the lunar surface in more than 50 years, establishing the initial elements for a permanent moon base, and getting America underway on space and nuclear propulsion, and other objectives. At 4:45, NASA will hold a live news conference from headquarters to provide an update on the agency's progress towards implementing the national space policy and recapping major announcements discussed throughout the day. NASA participants include Administrator Jared Isaacman, Associate Administrator Amit Garcia, Dana Weigel, ISS Program Manager, Carlos Garcia Galan, Program Executive, Moonbase. Can we call it Moonbase Alpha? Can we do that? Can we call it Moonbase Alpha? Please call it Please call it Moonbase Alpha. Please. Yeah, that guy, Carlos Garcia Galan, was the program manager for Gateway. Yeah.
Oh, this is space. I'm in space.
John Madden, football. Steve Sinecor, Program Executive, Fission Surface Power. Holy crap, this is happening, dude. This is happening. Nicola Fox, Associate Administrator, Science Mission Directorate. Dr. Lori Glaze, Acting Associate Administrator, Exploration Systems Development Mission Directorate. So do we trust him? He forgot wiring. I don't know. The full program and news conference will stream live on NASA Plus, Amazon Prime, and the agency's YouTube channel. Learn how to stream NASA content through okay, I don't care. All right, so we're going to be here at 9 tomorrow, guys. I have a feeling tomorrow is going to be a little bit light on the gaming content and very heavy on the space news content. I'm going to quickly note that when this was first released, it said Lori Glaze Moon to Mars program. Some of you guys aren't going to like hearing this, but if I was Jared Isaacman, I'd scrap the Moon to Mars program too. Yeah, there it is. I'd scrap it. Why? How does that get you to the moon faster? It doesn't. Now, if people are going to... I can hear the keyboards typing. I can hear it stop. I understand that there's repercussions there. You're sacrificing your long-term sustainability for a space race. That didn't work well historically, but we'll see. Can you link that press release? Sure. I'll link it in both chats. Clickety clackety. You guys can hear the keyboard today? No, you can't. Whatever. How come you heard it that one time? That was weird. Oh, I can hear your keyboards. Yeah, that was the joke that I made. Sorry. I'm not doing good today. Not doing good. Just not doing good. I'm trying. It sounds like my brain right now.
Tranquil as a forest, but on fire within.
Dude, it has to be. It has to be called Moonbase Alpha. It can't not be called Moonbase Alpha. It has to be. Where do I send the beer? Don't worry about it, Steve Ria. You know what? I'll go get one right now. Give me a second. Anyway. I don't have a problem. You have a problem. You got a problem? Turn off the stream. Sorry, Dan. All right. Yeah. Something like that, Nader. I don't freaking know, dude. I don't know, dog. So, your brain today.
Watch this F-18 pilot do a prohibitive maneuver as he performs a gun's defense against the attacking F-14.
Gosh, what the fuck was that?
That incredible agility is...
Yep. Yeah, yeah. Kate, what do you got? Hi, by the way. I haven't seen you in a little bit. How's things? All right. NASA's leading the greatest adventure in human history, and it has only just begun. On Tuesday, we'll share our plans for the future of NASA across many of our programs. We'll see you tomorrow morning for ignition. Okay.
For more than 60 years, NASA has achieved the near impossible. We set foot on the moon, landed rovers on Mars, launched telescopes to unlock the secrets of the universe. And began decades of continuous human presence on the International Space Station and delivered countless...
hey, baby. That's a nice Hubble, you might say. Send Elon's robots to service Hubble. We got James Webb, man, and bring it back down and put it in a museum and then build another James Webb. How about we build that? We should have built 2 James Webbs. What if we built 2 of them? Would it be cheaper? Would it have been any more expensive? It's a $20 billion project. You telling me like, oh no, if we built 2, it would have been $21 billion? Is that where we draw the line? They should have built like 5 of them. It's ridiculous.
Scientific discoveries along the way. But moments like those aren't accidents. They happen when we bring the best and brightest from across the nation, the capabilities from industry and our partners from all over the world, and choose to undertake and achieve the near impossible. And that's exactly what this moment demands of us once again. President Donald Trump's national space policy has given NASA...
We have the best national space policy. Our policy is the best. It's tremendous. You're gonna love it. It's the best space policy around. What is it? Well, I'll tell you tomorrow with Mr. Isaac Rook. He'll tell you tomorrow, and he will tell you everything you need to know. It's gonna be great. Everyone knows it.
The mandate and the
we will beat China back to the moon. Ask anyone. Mr. Isaac Rook. Excuse me. Thank you, T-Man. The beer hit fast, yeah. Like he's in the room. Is the orange man in the room with you now?
resources to return to the moon, build a base, take the next giant leap, and expand American superiority in the ultimate high ground of space. And now it's upon us to execute, and to do so with the competence, the ownership, and the urgency of the world's most accomplished space agency. On March 24th, we're bringing together NASA leaders, our commercial partners, international allies, members of Congress, and the administration for an event we're calling Ignition. The future of American leadership in space can only be achieved with alignment across government, industry, our more than 60 Artemis Accords partners, and the greater space-loving community. Ignition is about more than setting direction. It's about undertaking grand, world-changing endeavors and actually achieving them. This is the moment we reject the status quo, challenge what is broken, embrace what...
Brother, you got to look at the camera when you say it's... I'm sorry.
...worked on July 20th, 1969, and reject what stands in the way of extraordinary outcomes. NASA is leading the greatest adventure in human history, and it's only just begun. It's time to start believing again.
All right, let's freaking go, dude. Let's freaking go, dog. Mr. Rookie Man, He's the greatest. He's the greatest of all time. Ask anyone. Anyone who knows it. He could be the best NASA administrator ever. Epic propaganda. All right. Picture the president and everything aside. Guys, I've talked about this before on stream. Like, it's not a bad idea. NASA does need a shake. They need to be shaken up. I've told you I'd go. If it was me, I'd go into NASA HQ and fire a lot of people. If, people ask, oh, would you be a good administrator? I'd be like, probably not. I'd fire a bunch of people. I'd go in there. It'd be like the end of Mr. Deeds. I'd be like, oh, you, sir, you are definitely fired. No, you're fired. You're fired. You're fired. You're fired. And then Ahmed Garcia would be there to be like, what about me? And I'd be like, not fired. But tomorrow, you let me change your socks. It'd be just like that. So, hey, space propaganda is okay in this stream. This is a space propaganda allowable, safe space. All right? Your dogs are still barking. They're barking. They're barking all the time. They could be barking left. They could be barking right. They could be barking at a dog. They could be barking at a squirrel. Squirrels. I like squirrels. They're very nice. There's one outside my window. It's tremendous. Anyway, funny impressions aside. In this stream, we watch space propaganda. You okay? No. Nah. Thank you for your attention in this matter. No, this should be pretty cool. I'm excited. I think NASA needs to be shaken up like this. I don't necessarily like that it's for a space race, to be honest with you. Personally,
this is space. I'm in space.
Oh, thank you very much, Nova, for gifting that sub. That's a tremendous sub. It's a great sub. Probably the best sub of all time. Everyone knows it. Ask anyone. I'm a remarkable imitation machine.
This is space. I'm in space.
Predominant gifted a sub to China. I'm trying to form a competent thought here, okay, man? Because there hasn't been much. From me. So, hey, Josh, 106-month resub. Serious, 87-month resub. That's a serious sub say it's the worst of all time. Ask anyone. No one understands what this guy is saying. The Bad Bunny tweet got me, man. It was funny as hell. No one understands what this guy is saying. I'm sorry, I can't. That's too funny, dude. Yeah, man, it happens, dude. All right. Talking about moon bases, I did some calculations for a moon mission. TLI, land takeoff plus Earth return using only Starship, using a patched conics method. Okay, cool. Using Starship V3 with 200 tons to the surface, assuming a dry mass of 150 tons, and using only sea level Raptors requires 2.79 or 2.79 tons of fuel. Okay. Or no. 2790 tons of fuel. Starship V3 is stated to carry 2700 tons of fuel. It is surprisingly close to be a coincidence, I think. Dude, remember when we made the Taurus capsule? And remember what did I say when we built the Taurus capsule? What did we center it around? We centered it around that capsule being able to get to low lunar and back from a trans moon injection in KSP. I built it for that very specific reason. And then, yeah, you got to put your benchmark somewhere. You have to have a benchmark for your stakeholder expectations. So that makes sense, dude. The stream went off the rails the moment we started yelling John Madden. John Madden. John Madden, football will be the words that we'll say in our new moon base. Ayu. Ayu, ayu, ayu. I'm having a day, dude. Just bear with me. Sorry. Too much? Too much crossing references? All right, I'll stop. You gotta laugh at it. It's pretty funny, right? So, yeah. How long till you break out that impression on Flame Trench? I don't think Flame Trench is ready for that impression, dude. I'm not even sure that Stream is ready for that impression, but you guys seem to be dealing with it all right. Nobody does moon bases like we do. Your drink's all over your keyboard now. I'm sorry, man. Sorry. I'm having the worst Monday right now, dude. I crashed out so hard earlier on stream. I deleted the VOD. You know how bad it has to be for me to delete the VOD. It's pretty bad. Nostrils got a washing too. Hey, I'm just making sure your nasal passage health is healthy. I remember when Newt Gingrich ran on building a moon base and he was laughed at. You know what, dude? Politics aside, his ideas about the moon were not the stupidest ones. Like, I think he got lambasted for other reasons, but his moon base ideas are pretty good. I will still say that Constellation is a pretty good idea, except for that information I found out on the Flame Trench the other day. We figured out that on the Flame Trench, the docking port is incapable of handling the Earth departure stage. So, you know, that's good. Right? Did you die again in Winter Car? No, only a little bit in real life. What were you streaming that got you so mad? Nothing. Yeah. Marcon, just having a bad day, dude. Just having a bad day. It happens, man. It happens. Even in my line of work, you know, where it's all sunshine and rainbows. But what I said at the time was, look, my patience is my meal ticket. Because I talk to you guys, I explain it, everything. I don't mind explaining things 10, 15 times. It's not a big deal. That doesn't bother me. If I don't have my patience and I get too angry at stream, I don't deserve to stream. That's my rule. If you're going to sit here and you're going to curse people out and you're going to be a dick to people, like, not ironically, you don't deserve to stream. So I stopped streaming for a little bit. But we're doing Space News, and we're having a great time. Great time. Probably the greatest time I've ever. Rookie Jaredman is going to be the administrator. Him and Amit Mashua. They'll be great. It's going to be fantastic. No, I'm really looking forward to tomorrow. I think Amit and Jared are the right people for the job. I think they'll do good. I feel your pain. Restraint is tough. I usually have very good patience. I deal with chat. It's not a big deal. Like, not deal with it. You guys aren't a burden by any means. You know what I mean? Like, you have to come in here and you have to be happy. You know what I mean? Some days you're not happy. All right? Some days I feel like putting my fist through the wall. Nothing that you guys did. That's life. That's life. Flying high in April, shot down in May. You know, like, you should buy a yellow. I'm the best impersonator ever, probably the greatest of all time. Dude, I'll be honest with you. That was a tough one to get down. That was a tough one. It wasn't as hard as the Zoidberg one, all right? This one is the hardest one by a long shot. Do you understand what I'm telling you? That was tough. But that one was pretty difficult. So, Ah, good. I was worried it was you. No, you're good. Shane Gillis is good at it. I actually listened to him a lot, and yeah, you were workshopping it for a while. It was tough, man. That's a tough one to get down. It's the pacing. The pacing is just all over the place. Yeah, the pacing with that impression is just hard. It's weird. Got to say some space stuff. Exo-atmospheric, supersonic retro, deceleration burn. I don't know what those words mean, folks. Nobody knows what these mean. Scholars have lost the translation. And we don't know what they mean. We used to know what they mean. We don't know what they mean. We know what they mean. We know what they mean now, yes. They're great words, beautiful words. Think anyone from NSF would want to join during tomorrow's stream? I don't know, maybe. We love our words, especially those long ones. Your Zoidberg is the reason I subscribed originally 2 years ago. Oh, yes, Chad. Young lady, bring me a sandwich from the dumpster and leave the maggots on it. Too good. Sorry, man. I don't mean, like, don't take this as an endorsement or non-endorsement of political figures. I'm in it for the memes. Is that bad? I'm in it for the love of the game. Because I like doing impressions. Like, you have a 0.5. Dude, it's tough. It was a tough impression to get down. It took a long time. She looks like a steakhouse, but she handles like a bistro. If we kick the door in, the rest will fall like a house of cards. Checkmate. Memes are always acceptable. Do an impression of yourself. Isn't that just talking to you, or? Not usually. Martin, I'm having a day, man. I'm having a day. Bring on the Bill Nelson. Now, we will launch when we're ready. And when we do launch, it'll be as easy as falling off a log into a giant bowl of pudding. I went to the fridge and I got my pudding, and then I put it down my pants. Is that good enough? I got a bowl of chocolate pudding. Sorry. All right. Bill's a nice dude. Sorry. Are you saying we're putting it down your pants? What did you come back to? I don't know, bro. You need to try and get a Neil deGrasse Tyson down. Yeah, that would take some time. The Bill is the best. Thank you for the compliment. There was like 3 Bills in that one. Yeah. You didn't hear it from me, but Northrop Grumman is going to roll out, or New Glenn is going to roll out in a few weeks. GS1 and GS2 are mated. Now that's news I wanted to hear. You have 3 years to get. He sounds too normal, man. I can't do impressions of people with normal voices. He has the exact same accent that I do. I can't do an impression of that dude. What are you, nuts? Dude, it's just like Elon. Elon talks. I mean, he has weird pacing to his voice, but he's otherwise talks normally. I can't do an impression of that. I can't do it. I can't do impressions of people that talk normally. You have his depth. Now you just need to get the speed right. Yep. Yeah. Anyway. My fridge, my smart fridge that my grandson gave me told me to buy pudding. So I did. You have his depth, you just need to get the speed. Yeah. So yeah, how do you, I mean, dudes, I'm ready. Tomorrow's plans look pretty sick. Like, I think it's safe to say that Gateway's probably done. Elon has a South African accent. It's like a South African accent mixed with a little bit of Canadian, but mostly Silicon Valley enunciated English. So, yeah, that's a weird combination to get right. I wonder if any other rocket can launch Orion to Leo. Well, Ghost Vera, so what I didn't know, I didn't realize that Orion shares the same avionics suite as a Delta IV upper stage. The reason why it does is because the first Orion flew on a Delta IV on the EFT-1 mission in 2014, right? And then, since then, we've had the Artemis 1 mission, which was still on a Delta IV upper stage, but that Delta IV upper stage was on top of SLS, which is why I think SLS is Delta V, but people don't like hearing that. They don't like hearing the truth, all right? Hey, actually, it was pretty well received when I said it on Flame Trench the other day, so just mint. So, because of this, they share the same avionics package. Now, I think it was 2019, I covered an article for Space News about ULA standardizing their avionics to drive costs down. Actually, this may have been like 2016 or 2017. ULA standardized their avionics between Atlas and Delta. And whatever avionics standardization package they went with was the one that can talk to Orion. I didn't know that. I did not know that, but until Jared Isaacman started floating around the Block 1S architecture for SLS with the Centaur 5 on top, I didn't realize it. I didn't. Nice haircut, bro. I look like an absolute train wreck, but whatever. So, okay. Ghost, look, let's be real. If you could put a Centaur 5 up there and it can get Orion to talk to it, which, guys, that's the big reason why rockets aren't plug and play. It's getting all the electronics and avionics packages to talk to each other. If one is running Linux and the other one's running Windows, it's a little bit of a pain in the butt to get them to talk. Can you do that? Sure, of course. Would it be easier just having everything using one operating system, so to speak? Well, yeah, of course. But you got to remember, you have a bunch of different contractors here. You know, so the standard ULA's decision to standardize the avionics, ipso facto, that basically means Orion can launch on Vulcan. It can launch on Vulcan. Yeah. I don't see why it couldn't. It could launch on Vulcan just fine. You would need to potentially modify on the hardware side of things, you would need to modify Orion's staging adapter, the service module adapter. But yeah, that basically means you could launch it on Vulcan, which, yeah, it could do it. You would need probably like a Vulcan VC6 configuration to put Orion into low Earth orbit for like a proverbial, for like a Starship rendezvous or something. An HLS rendezvous to push it out to TLI? Sure. Yeah, you could get away with that. Vulcan should be able to do it. The other hardware modifications would be a crew access arm. A crew access arm. Now, Slick 41, where Vulcan launches from, has a crew access arm, but it's for Starliner. It's designed to interface to Starliner. It's not designed to interface to Orion. You know what my solution is there? Milk stool Mobile Launcher 1 and launch Vulcan from there with an Orion on it. Yeah. If you're retooling Mobile Launcher 1 to be able to handle a Centaur upper stage, that means you're going to put a Centaur 5 swing arm on it, right? And if you're putting a Centaur 5 swing arm on it, build a milk stool for Vulcan. Build a milk stool for Vulcan. And there you go. Mobile Launcher 1 can launch Vulcan with Orion on top of it. And that could be your Ares 1 in this architecture. You know, with Starship being your Ares 5. That could work. That'll work just fine. That's actually a pretty damn good idea, if you ask me. Vulcan also needs SRBs that don't pop. I'm pretty sure every booster flying nowadays needs SRBs that don't pop, right? Every one of them do, because the Bole boosters pop as well. Can VC6 launch an Orion? It would not be able to get Orion all the way into orbit, no. But Orion's service propulsion system could get it the rest of the way. Yeah, you got to remember, the capsule has a third stage to it, and that third stage has 2 kilometers a second, at least, delta V. Actually, it's a little bit more than that. So yeah, it could do it. How would Blue Moon Mark II fit into this hypothetical Orion Leo concept? Pigzig, you want my honest opinion? New Glenn 9x4 launching from Mobile Launcher 2. Yep. Funny, SpaceX has reset my expectations of difficulty. I hear crew access arm and I think, wow, that's nothing. Yeah, I know what you mean. I compartmentalize, Bob, but I compartmentalize. SpaceX is their own thing. They go at a different pace. They use a different type of engineering, right? NASA goes at a pace. They're doing something, and it's a different subset of engineering. Like, it's totally different. It's not iterative like SpaceX's is. Dong, where is my Artemis 2? Artemis 2? Dong, Grandpa is talking to you. Automobile? Did you watch the latest CSI Starbase? I have not gotten a chance to do that, no. I gotta watch Zach's vid. Yeah. If next spaceflight is right, VC6 can do 27,200. Vera, yeah, like I said, VC6 should be able to put Orion into Leo. You need to use the surface propulsion system to get it circularized. But how's that any different than the shuttle with the external tank and payload? The shuttle with the ET and payload didn't make it into orbit. You could get an external tank into orbit if you launched the shuttle with no payload on board. The shuttle could get the external tank into orbit, but it never did that. It never did it because it didn't need to. And what did it use? It used an AJ-10 based orbiter maneuvering system to get the rest of the way. The external tank and the 3 main engines got you 98% of the way there. That's what I'm talking about. The surface propulsion system would need to do a quick firing just for to get into a nice circular orbit, and then you call it a day. You get married? What? What, Hando? I haven't been married for a long time. I'm confused. Where did you get the more than 2 kilometers second delta V values for Orion in the EUS? That's just the service module, Lava. If Orion needs to be shot on a 2 kilometers, if Orion needs to be shot on a translunar injection to get to rectilinear halo orbit with payload on board, you're going to need a good amount of delta V. Your lunar circularization in rectilinear halo orbit's most likely going to be somewhere between 1,500 and 1,000 and 1,500 meters a second, right? So, ipso facto, capsule without payload, without co-manifested payload, should be somewhere in the ballpark of like 2 kilometers a second. This is back of the napkin math. It's back of the napkin math. It's probably wrong. Most of the math that I do on stream is very quick. Very quick and very rounded and estimated, which is not what you're supposed to do with spaceflight analysis, but here we are. I was making a long duck dong joke. Oh, yeah. All right. Automobile? Hendo, where have you been, man? It's good to see you. Hopefully everything's good. All right. Blue Origin's plan for Artemis 4 is to have 3 tugs push Blue Moon Mark II. Right? Do you think they could launch a 4th tug and have Blue Origin do the TLI for Orion and do an EOR like Starship? Yeah, sure, Sad. Why not? Yeah, I think that's a good idea. Ipso facto, with all due respect, and I mean with all due respect, I didn't realize you had experimental surgery to have your balls removed. I thought that value was public and I just missed it. No, I'm rounding off with given information that's up here in the EJ consortium of info. What's the difference between the center engine and the smaller engines on the perimeter of the European service module? Do they all fire at once? Well, no, Dan. They could fire individually. They could fire. So, okay, Dan, think about it like this. You know planes. How many control surfaces do planes have? How many control surfaces do they have? So you have, you know, like let's take a 737. Okay, take a 737. 737 has rudder, H-stabs, right? H-stabs, elevators. So rudder, V-stab, ailerons, flaps. But it has trim tabs, right? 737s can adjust the angle of incidence on the rear wing. And then there's trim tabs on top of that. Make sure the plane flies straight. Point is that you don't... The point is that you have... Like, let's take the elevators, for instance, and the H-stabs on a 737. The 737 has variable angle of incidence on the entire H-stab. 737s can deflect the entire wing if they need to. On top of that, you have elevators on there, and on top of those elevators, you have a trim tab, right? You have 3 different types of control surfaces to get 3 different types of flying, right? Now, what are thrusters but your control surfaces for space? Orion uses clusters of thrusters to be able to have differential thrust. So you can fire the SPS. That's full course adjustment. That's like deflecting the entire elevator, right? You can fire the small stuff. That's trimming out if you need a couple meters a second added to your burn. Or you could fire them all at once and just yeet it. Right, or you could fire the SPS and you have 8 rearward-facing thrusters on Orion. You could fire the SPS in 4. Or you could just shut off the SPS and fire the 8 thrusters. They're your control systems. That's your control mechanism for axis control. Does that make sense? Rounded up information gets the general point across. Yep. Mm-hmm. Thruster clusters. Now from Kellogg's. Yep. Yeah. So they're like trim tabs then. Yeah, more or less. So with... well, give me one second. I'm trying to find a good picture of it. You got to think about trim a little bit different for a space capsule, okay? Here. This is a good picture. No, that one sucks. Here we go. There, this will work. So, if you think about how space flight works, the spacecraft spends the vast majority of time just coasting through space, right? But in order to achieve a precise burn, right, you have to, the rocket engines aren't necessarily precise. Like, think about this. It's a rocket engine firing. Is a rocket engine firing gonna get you your delta V exactly down to like a centimeter a second? No, it's not. You do the main course adjustment with this thing, and then, you know, if this shuts down just a fraction of a second early, you're using the thrusters to make up the difference. Using the thrusters to make up the difference means you can be more precise, like a trim tab. Like a trim would get you to fly, a trim tab would get you to fly on a more precise trajectory, right? You don't need the full control surface to fly or do what you're trying to do. You just need something a little bit less. So these RCS thrusters here, the reaction control system thrusters, are there for shoring up and making sure you get to the right velocity so you can coast and get to the right target. These guys aren't necessarily used for rendezvous proximity operations. This is forward thrust and forward thrust only. The reason how I know is because if you say, hey, so we're at 25 months. If you look at Orion over here, for rendezvous proximity operations, they have 2 backward-facing thrusters at 45 degrees and 2 forward-facing thrusters at 45 degrees. Those are docking thrusters, okay? That's a docking thruster. And then the other clusters of thrusters, like over here and over there, those are for YPR during docking operations. Dan, hey all, what's going on? You found a couple of Wright 3350 pistons. Do you mind having one that's been cleaned by a bead blaster? I couldn't find a work order for it, and I don't know if it's history, but it's a 3350 piston. Yeah, I would not say no to that, Dan. Thank you. Airplane parts. Guys, general rule of thumb, if you want to ship me airplane parts, provided they were procured in a legal manner, and complying with all trafficking arms regulations laws in the United States and export laws in the United States, I'm not going to say no. The answer is most likely going to be yes. That's correct, Gaw, yep. Oh yeah, what was delivered on the pallet? A 1,008-piece toolbox, sewer rat. From Tang Tools. It's super nice, dude. Super nice. 1,000-piece toolbox and tool chest for it, which is, yeah. Yeah, I was using it today to fix the door to my shop. But, yeah. So, yeah, that's what those thrusters are about. But, yeah, big announcement from NASA tomorrow. Big announcement. Now, here, let's just run through a quick couple of things with the space news here. Definitely not an F-14 wing box. No, like I said, has to be legally procured and documented and comply with all armed trafficking regulations and export control laws in the United States. Due to ongoing strong winds in the launch area, the launch window for this is coming from ESAR. The launch window for the mission Onward and Upward opens net March 25th, subject to weather, safety, and range infrastructure. We'll provide more updates as they come available. Follow the launch live here. So that's coming from ESAR. So no RD-180s then. Got it. Yeah. That Trey, I'm pretty sure the government would be very curious as to why I have an RD-180 sitting on my front lawn. They would be a little bit confused and probably be like, hey, how'd you get that? You know, you can't buy those, right? And I'd be like, yeah, I didn't buy it, man. And like, we're going to take that. And I'd be like, yeah, all right, whatever. Can I have like a piece of it though? Like, I'll take my angle grinder to it. I'll just cut a piece off. Don't worry, I have a permit. The permit says you can do whatever you want. Yes. Are they the ones that went to the water a few feet from the pad? ESAR's Spectrum 1 launch got off the pad, got a good sequenced ignition and separation, and then about 15 to 20 seconds into the flight, there was a control problem. It flipped over, it came right back down and crashed into the water next to the pad. An unfortunate mishap on the first mission, but hey, that's the first mission. It's all right. Yeah, they got Spectrum. They got another Spectrum rocket. The mission Onward and Upward. It opens on March 25th. I talked to Das the other day. NSF is helping out with that coverage. I'm not sure if, I mean, they did it before, so I'm pretty sure that's okay to say. Yeah, it's cold. I asked Das, I'm like, hey, how you doing? And he's like, it's cold. And I'm like, you are in the Arctic Circle. And he's like, yep. And he's like, yeah. I'm like, yeah, that sucks, bro. That mission failed, but it was an epic video of RTLS. Yes, it was. The NSF crew must be bored silly out there. All right. What else do we got? So we got another Amazon Leo ready to go here. More launches, bigger payloads. With hundreds of flight-ready satellites on standby for launch and new vehicles and infrastructure coming online, Leo teams are prepared to increase deployment rates in 2 years. 6 fully stacked dispensers are ready for launch, another 200-plus satellites in total. 3 launches in the next month, including 2 Atlas Vs and the second heavy lift launch on Ariane 6.4. Atlas V payloads increasing to 29 satellites per launch. 20-plus missions planned for year 2, including inaugural missions on Vulcan and New Glenn. There is a Amazon Leo payload right now stacked on an Atlas V, ready to go here. So that's pretty cool. Trey, what are you asking? If we lose SLS tomorrow, is it over? Is it over for NASA or just a different way of doing things? It would depend on what's introduced in its place, Trey. It would depend on what's introduced in its place. This is a very much hypothetical. I don't have any information here about what this announcement is any more than you guys do. That is entirely on purpose. Could I ask people? Absolutely. Sup, how you doing? Look, so say NASA tomorrow said we're getting rid of SLS, we're not doing any of that, and we're taking those efforts with the approval of Congress, and we are working on building a nuclear powered spaceship, something like, think like the Hermes from The Martian or something. If they did that, I'd be cool with it. Let me put it to you like that. I'd be fine with that. If NASA wants to get into building gigantor interplanetary transfer ships, I'm cool with that. That's fine. Do you know how many Atlas Vs are left? It's somewhere around 10, Cryolox. It's more, actually, I think it's 14, I think. Don't quote me on that one. So, Trey, if they were like, we're getting rid of SLS, and we are building a nuclear-powered transfer stage, and basically building a primitive version of the Starship Enterprise to explore the solar system with people on board, I'd be cool with that. I'm fine with that. I don't know about you guys. Wouldn't we need an amendment to the NASA Authorization Act before they could do anything like that? Yeah, but Jared Isaacman has congressional support. He has a Senate majority behind him, so I wouldn't... Like, once again, Green, this is very much a hypothetical, so just bear with me. But also... Sure, but then moon landings and bases are out. What are you talking about? Why would they be out? They don't make the lander. And if Orion is using Starship or Blue Moon Mark II for translunar injection and LLO insertion... All right, what are you talking about? I actually don't think that that's the case, Fluffy. I'm interested to see what will happen with all these super constellation once space safety laws come into effect. There are no global laws yet, but there are talks about them as far as I know. Who is going to enforce those laws, Lava? Who's going to enforce those laws? So say they do, someone makes a space safety law saying you can't launch, you can't make 10,000 satellite constellations. Who's enforcing that? Country with the biggest gun. That's the right answer, Sawyer. That's why they aren't there yet. The fact that no one in Congress is kicking up a storm about Jared was doing tells you he has full support. Yeah, spoiled. But if we're gonna reduce it to its base element, dude, that also means that Congress won't let the pork.
Listen, Tranquility Base here. The Eagle has landed.
Enjoy this KSP Nova stage.
Thank you, RJ. Oh, very nice. Very, very nice. You see the video that Launcher Space just released? No, I haven't. That's great, RJ. Those look fantastic. I like the radiators around the rim of the engine. That's a nice touch. It's only got 9 kilometers a second. Yeah, that's a shame. I mean, Kessler syndrome has already started. I guess it's better for everyone. I might be very naive, though. Let's get to the next news. Here. This is coming from Blue. Our second Blue Moon Mark 1 is moving through the production line at Lunar Plant 1 in Florida. The aft module and the LOX LH2 tanks are in assembly, with the aft module recently transitioning from a test fixture to a low test stand for processing. Each lander is a step towards lunar permanence. All right. Let's friggin' go, dude. Your Ares 1 is going to look nice on your pad. The Jebstone rocket? Yeah. That's good stuff. Do I think Blue will beat SpaceX to the moon? Bandit, I think they'll land something on the moon before SpaceX does. Sure. Sure. But they'll beat SpaceX to the moon in the same way that they beat SpaceX to landing first stage. New Shepard was the first stage to land. SpaceX's Falcon 9 was the second. There's one real big detail missing from that, though. SpaceX's rocket moved something into orbit. Blue Origin's rocket went up and came right back down. It did not move anything anywhere near orbit, right? Welcome to the club. Exactly. Now, if you want to say that's Blue Origin beating SpaceX to landing a booster, well, they certainly think that was they certainly thought that was the case back in the day, Bandit. But I would contend to say that Blue Moon Mark 1 is the same idea. They'll land something. Blue Moon Mark 1 is useful. It probably will land before Starship HLS does, right? And that's pretty cool. That if you want to get that small W, that's fine. And say you landed something on the moon before SpaceX, that's cool. But yesterday Elon rolled out a video that would require millions of Starship launches to the moon over the next 20 years. So you could say that you landed there first. That's fine. Unless Blue has some gigantor factory that could crank out like Mark IIs, thousands of them. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see. Pretty ambitious to try and beat SpaceX in scale to the moon. I really don't think that's going to happen. Not at least in the immediate future. Blue's going to take some time to ramp up because that's what they do. They might get there first, but I don't... By the time they get there, they're getting there on a routine schedule. I think SpaceX will have a city on there with Starship. Just honest opinion, guys. Who gets the first crewed landing? Now that's the real question, isn't it, Mutter? I think with SpaceX eyeing the moon, I think they'll get it. Not because I think that Starship is inherently any better at landing on the moon than Blue Moon Mark II. I think they're both good designs in their own right. I like that they use different propellants. One's Hydrolox, the other's Methalox. I understand that, but each one is not met without its challenges. Starship is gigantic, so you need a lot of refueling. The lander design is not necessarily complicated. All right? Blue Moon Mark II, smaller lander, using Hydrolox, so it's a little bit more complicated. Well, not complicated. That's not the right... Hydrogen is a little bit harder. It's a little bit more temperamental to play with in space, right? So it requires less refueling, but I think that they could pull it off in time. My one big thing with this, Mutter, is not necessarily the lander design. I think that both companies could be able to get their lander designs finished by 2027, by late 2027, finished and, you know, get some operational prototypes. The problem is scaling up your architecture from there, not lunar lander architecture. Which company here is better tooled for frequent flying at this point in time, March 23rd, 2026? Starship's flown more than New Glenn has. And SpaceX has mountains of flight data behind them with the Falcon program. Mountains of data behind them. Think about that. An Abrupt Whale, 2-month resub. Thank you. Just something to consider. I think Starship, despite Starship being a little bit more complicated operations in space and a much larger vehicle, SpaceX's scale is something that's what's going to get it home. In the long run, that's what's going to get it home. SpaceX has already showed that they can scale. They scaled Falcon 9. Blue Origin could scale New Glenn, could. But look, it doesn't matter if you get Blue Moon Mark II lander finished on time. It's still going to require 3 or 4 New Glenn launches to put that thing up in the air, even by a conservative estimate. New Glenn has launched, what, twice? In 2 years? And I'm not saying that Blue isn't scaling. They're absolutely scaling. They showed their hangar the other day with a bunch of second stages inside of it. At least, I think I saw at least 5. I think I saw all the way out. I think actually it was more than 5. It was like 10 upper stages. That's fine. Okay. That's still not enough to do this. You know what I mean? It's close, but it's not enough. What happens if you lose a tail? What happens if you lose a GS1 again? Dude, we don't even know how close that GS1 that did land was to blowing up. We don't know. It may have been 2 seconds away from exploding. Or it may have been fine. I'm sure they learned something from it, but like I said, it's also kind of telling that it's taken a little bit of time since the last landing for them to go and launch it again. That tells me that that thing was pretty close to exploding. I don't know that for sure. It's just a guess. Is Neil Armstrong a thing? I don't know. I think SpaceX will beat Blue with scale. Not because Blue can't scale, but because SpaceX, as of this moment in time, is further along in their scaling process, at least seemingly, than Blue is. Doesn't Gigabay have more storage for vehicles than the entire active Falcon 9 fleet? Yes, something like that. Yeah. Anyway, either way, I'm not trying to be partial to one over the other. I think they're both good designs. And I think they're both really good for a sustainable long-term presence on the moon. Anyway. Yeah, good stuff, dudes. Good stuff. So, fellas, I was going to do after hours today, but with NASA's new announcement, with NASA's big announcement, it seems like we're going to have our hands full tomorrow. So, I think that we're going to call it here. You covered the progress thing, right? Oh no, I didn't. Yeah, guys, Progress, what is it? Progress 94 took off from Baikonur, putting Site 31 back to operational status. The Russians did it. They fixed their pad. Just in case anybody's wondering. The unpiloted Roscosmos Progress 94 spacecraft is safely on orbit and heading to the ISS following at 7:59 a.m. Eastern Daylight Time, 4:59 p.m. Baikonur time on a Soyuz rocket from the Baikonur Cosmodrome in Kazakhstan. Following launch, one of the Progress spacecraft's two Kurs automated rendezvous antennas did not deploy as planned. All other systems are operating as designed, and Progress will continue towards its planned docking at 9:34 a.m. Tuesday, March 24th to the space-facing port of the station's Poisk module. Roscosmos will continue troubleshooting the antenna issue. If the antenna cannot not be deployed, Roscosmos cosmonaut Sergei Skverchkov will manually pilot the spacecraft for rendezvous and docking using the Toru. Yeah, telerobotically operated rendezvous system, which is a control panel located in the Zvezda module that can be used as a backup to the Kurs system. NASA's live rendezvous and docking coverage will begin 8:45 a.m. on NASA Plus and Amazon Prime. That's going to be happening during NASA's announcement. There's no doubt in my mind that Sergei can dock that thing. The Toru is very rarely used. It has been used in the past, guys. It's actually a legacy system that has a lot of heritage. It even goes back to Mir. They had a Toru system on Mir, and somebody crashed a spacecraft into the space station because they didn't use it right. But in the time of the ISS, it's worked right every time, so, you know. Is Toru a kind of Canadarm? No. No, House. Toru is a, think FPV drone, but for a spaceship. First-person view. Like, it is basically just a flight deck for a Soyuz or a Progress. Like, all the screens for a Soyuz or a Progress just in the spaceship. Or in this Zvezda module. At least it didn't lose 6 degrees of freedom. Yeah. Are there any plans to play Factorio in the coming days? Yes. Yes, I will play Factorio soon. I was going to do Kerbal today, but yeah, I'm having a day. But anyway. Toru's in Canadarm. Canada's the worst neighbor. What? How about more track detailing? That is also planned. I wanted to do Factorio. I wanted to do a day for Factorio this week. I wanted to do a day for cities. We got to build that racetrack out. And I wanted to do a couple of days for KSP. I wanted to get back into space news this week, which is what we're doing now. It seems like the space news is going to come at us hot and heavy over the next couple of days, especially tomorrow. So, yeah. So, yeah, guys, I'm going to not do after hours tonight. We won't do it tonight because we got to get up early in the morning, dude. I will be here for all that NASA coverage for the potential Toru initiated progress docking and everything else. Tomorrow's going to be a long day. We're going to do a lot of talking about space. I'm really excited for NASA's plans. We'll see what happens. So, yeah, I'm going to go get some sleep for the night. We got a big day tomorrow. So thank you very much for watching. I will see you guys at 9 a.m. tomorrow. Have a good night, okay? I'll see you later.